You're listening to the Live Out Loud podcast with River Wynn and Michelle Flamer.
Hi, River.
Hi, Michelle.
Happy Pride Month.
Yay! We're recording on June 1st.
I
Pride Month.
know. Happy June, new month, new week. All the possibilities are in front of us.
It feels like summer's starting. I don't know. There's something about June 1st starting, and like the kids have, at least for us, my kids have 4 days left of school. I have 3 days left of preschool. So it's like summer's about to start.
Wow. So it's your last week of like schedules, like as you guys know it.
Yep.
That's cool. Summer's
Yeah.
gonna kick off. Yeah, Kaden had a pool party yesterday.
But
Yeah, it was fun. It was nice to just watch her just be in her happy element. And this week I'm packing her up for camp. And then next weekend she goes to camp over, her Marine camp. So that'll be really fun for her.
exciting.
Yeah, so she at least gets a little slow roll with an easy week this week and then goes into camp and then it honestly her summer travel kicks off, so it's great.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, she's gonna have a good summer, I think. Cool. So I think with our topic today being that it's Pride Month, I thought that it would be really fun to talk about queer joy as resistance, like with what's going on in the world right now. Not really get too political here, but
Yeah.
sort of make it more our vibe, our energy, and really celebrating moments of LGBTQ plus BIPOC joy, chosen family, and how living out loud, hint hint, is an act of liberation.
Mm, yes, it is.
Isn't that nice? Like, I mean, you and I love our chosen family.
I think about that all the time. Like my chosen family, I can't imagine doing life without you guys.
I know. And the way that we describe chosen family is really like, it's not just like a substitute, but it's often like a deeper, more intentional relationship where, like you said, I literally can't imagine a life with like I wake up in the morning and I think that it just I feel so embraced. Like there's just like this sort of otherworldly embracing or devotion that I feel amongst my chosen family. Like there's never any stress about it. Like I just wake up and I know you guys are all in your perspective space at the moment. Like, you're all in like we all live far apart from each other, but it's like, okay, I know where you are. I know where Sam is. I know where, I
Yeah.
know where all my people are, It's like there's something very comforting in knowing that when I wake up in the morning, first of all, because I'm the one that goes to sleep, doesn't even matter like what time zone everybody's in. I'm always in bed first, like
You're always the
genuinely.
first one.
Uh-huh. But then I wake up to like all of you guys sending me the like silly
Well, you're
memes.
always the first one up too, because I'll get a text from you at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I wake up at 6:30, and I'm like, "What the heck, Michelle?"
I know, but we've all come to know I think we all genuinely look forward to those moments because I mean, there's so much play in between with our chosen family. Like, I think we get to be kids with each other. I think we get to be parents with each other and siblings with one another. Like, we get to show up in all these different roles. We're all
It's
kind of wrapped up in different roles. It's not just one. You know what I mean? That's why I think lumping
yeah.
it into chosen family feels so appropriate.
Well, for me, it's interesting too because I got kicked out from my family when I was a teenager,
Yeah.
and so I've had this interesting perspective as I've grown up on my own of seeing other people feel so much pressure. It seems like at times that they have to have relationships with their family. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of expectation, there's a lot of pressure on that. And I had this unique situation where I wanted to be a part of my family. I
Yeah.
wanted to have relationships with my family, but I didn't get to do that for a long time. And now I have very intentional relationships with certain family members that we've chosen to have a relationship, and we work hard on that to have our relationship and connection. And I see that with my, again, like my chosen family, my friends, that the people that come into my life along my journey, that, it's not a have to. We're choosing it. We
Oh
want it.
yeah.
And that's a
Yeah.
huge thing for me in it, is that I know, like, I don't question any of my friends because I
Yeah.
know that they are very intentional and purposeful. They've chosen me and I choose them.
Yeah.
And that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, this is global. I mean, depending upon the person's religion, depending upon where they're born in, as far as like even just community and being ostracized if you come out gay, especially like
Mhm.
since we're talking about Pride Month, um, the chosen family piece is the first time where a queer person might actually feel safe
Yeah.
and sometimes they find their family and community early on in life if they've recognized that, let's just say they're in the South, right? Mississippi, deep Mississippi South, and this
Mm.
sweet little queer boy is just in his school choir, and he just stands out amongst, if he finds a couple of friends that he can feel safe amongst, they'll probably be friends forever, family forever. But
Mhm.
um, it's not always safe for them, to be the
No,
full
it's
selves.
not.
And
It's
so
not.
having that chosen family is really, it can be life or death.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, if you're entirely alone and you don't have anybody to lean on and be your true self with, that's so isolating, and that's a dangerous, like, mental health space to be in for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. I think it's and I'm not going to say I think it's getting easier. I think that there's more available to queer youth, especially out in the world with podcasts. They can put their earbuds on and listen, YouTube, social media. I know a lot of queer kids. There's a youth group here that does a fantastic job. It's called
Mm.
1 in 10.
Mm-hmm.
And they do an amazing job. And I was privileged to hear from some 1 in 10 youth that without having this, they would have been on the streets. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I mean by life and death sometimes, that there is more available, but these kids also have to be brave enough to just get outside of their house and like seek it out, and really put themselves out. I mean, there's lots of gay and lesbian organizations in almost every major town, and sometimes, they can't get out there, but luckily there's a lot of online communities now too.
I know, even for me, living where I live out in a rural Oregon area, I think everyone assumes that Oregon is like just the most hippie, like free
Yeah,
loving, open minded place, but that's
I
just not the
know.
reality.
Mm-mm.
Most of rural Oregon is extremely red and conservative, and but I know even where I live, we have some LGBTQ groups, and we have like some resources for kids, and there's events, and like even here in this small conservative, like very like Mormon religious community, like we still have some of those resources. And I'm noticing with my kids amongst their friends that it seems like there's more acceptance
Mm-hmm.
than there is from older generations, you know? So it feels like there's still a lot of hardship. There's still a lot of needing access to resources, safe spaces, safe people. But I'm noticing, like, it seems like amongst kids, like the coming generations, like there's more acceptance and there's more like cultural safety, perhaps, even though I'm
Yes.
sure that there's still just as much like judgment and discrimination happening. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, back in, I want to say in the 1980s, right around the AIDS epidemic happening,
Mhm.
there was a culture. Did you ever see the TV show Pose?
No.
It's really beautiful. I'll find out where it can be playing. I'm not quite sure where it does lay now. But it's basically a drama television series about New York City's ball culture
Mm,
and LGBTQ subculture in the African American and Latino communities. And
mm,
a lot of the time, these ball cultures where they show up in like a downtown, it's an underground, ballroom in a sense, or like dance off, and
yeah,
and the different houses, meaning there's always one matriarch. She's typically either a trans or a drag queen, and it's so beautiful. And so she takes on these younger queer kids, male, female, whatever, however they call themselves mother, mama, things like
mm,
that. And so each house plays against each other, and there's, a DJ and someone who usually, like MCs the whole thing, and the judges and stuff, and they judge each other. But it's really beautiful in essence, where some of these gay youths,
mhm,
they would be on the street. I mean,
yeah,
if it wasn't for these houses, and they all work and put money into the house, and I mean, they live and thrive like families. They
yeah,
bicker, they fight each other. Sometimes houses break up, like
mhm.
real families, and one goes their own way and then creates their own new family the way they want to do it. So it's a really cool show, and I mean, they're beautiful. Billy Porter's in it. Michaela
Mm.
J. Rodriguez, who is a
I'll have to
very
watch that sometime. That
prominent,
sounds really good.
it is the music, the dancing, the culture is literally, it's beautiful to watch. And I learned a
Mhm.
lot. Like historically, they really kind of tapped into the AIDS epidemic and other things. So it's just really, I think it's really, really important that no matter where we are, it's like living a queer life. Like this is why we created Live Out Loud. It's so that anybody who wants to listen can live and walk an authentic path in their truest self, right? Live
Yeah,
out loud. Like, and I capitalized the OUT because I wanted it to be a nod to the queer community,
yeah,
but also acknowledge that, everybody's on their own journey. And so it's definitely for anybody, straight, queer, however you acknowledge yourself. But I think living your full truth is an act of resistance in
it
some
is.
form.
Living your authenticity is such a brave act. It really is. It takes so much courage.
It really does. I mean, like, it can feel radical sometimes. I mean, I have a couple of gay t-shirts, right? Like gay
Yeah.
presenting, like rainbowish. One says can't even think straight, which I think is just
Mhm.
funny. The other one, which is really my favorite one, it's mom hugs. Free mom hugs.
Yeah, the mom hugs.
And
Yeah.
I really love that. And it's really fascinating if I wear it at a pride event. um, I get more boys coming up to me, more gay men who need those hugs, and I'm all for giving those free love out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
I'll give
nothing.
anybody hugs.
I know it's like the sweetest everything, It's like, but I think that liberation and that joyful defiance
Hmm.
is really so important with what's going on, without getting too political today, but
Yeah.
just with the landscape around trans, like anytime, even though I'm not personally trans, I'm happy to wear a pro trans t-shirt anytime. Um, I think it's important to create, you know, or just showing people that you can be a safe space, kind of walking outside
Yeah.
your door.
I think that, so for me, I have two people in my life that are people I cherish and love very much who are trans. One is a child and one's an adult. And I know that being a visible ally for them. It gives them a lot of feeling seen, feeling seen, and just knowing that they at least have a person on their side who will speak up and not be afraid to speak up for their rights. That's huge. I'm not trans, but like I'm very vocal about my support for it and my love for my trans friends and family because they need that. Even if they are not able to be
Mhm.
authentic right now and being out and loud and proud about it,
Yeah.
having people around them who are vocal about how they feel about that and supporting it and lifting those people up can kind of shine a little bit of light along the
Well,
way.
we they felt so invisible for so many years. They, in
Yeah.
fact, until they went through their own transition for like they could, it was do or die. It was like,
Mhm.
I can't live, as this other person.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have a dead name too. I mean, you have
Mhm.
acknowledged, in the past, like how, creating your own identity for yourself, and
Mhm.
and changing your name is a really big thing. I mean, it's not to be taken
And
light,
it very
no
much
matter
triggers
who you
people.
are, no matter who it is.
It,
It's
it
like,
triggers people, even for me as a straight passing queer woman
yeah,
person.
you're a cis
Like
woman, right?
I I triggered a lot of people when I changed my name. And to this day, certain people, when they are frustrated with me or upset at me, they will purposely use my dead name to make a point.
Yeah.
And that's just it's gross, icky behavior. And so,
It's really
and if
disrespectful to
that
you.
if that's something I've experienced, as a cis woman, straight passing, all of that, I can't even imagine like how that must feel for someone who is trans.
Yeah.
It's like a billion times fold on that.
Well, it's literally shutting the door on who they are.
It's been literally physically saying, no, we reject who you are.
Exactly. It's literally just slamming the door in their face,
Yeah.
kicking them in, kicking them in the face. It's like, so I think it's just really important that when activism can be anything, it can be micro activism where maybe you're just using your Instagram stories to repost things from queer identified pages, right? And sometimes,
I love micro acts of
you like
of
that?
resistance. Well, I was our dear friend Mary and I were talking this week because there's like a thread going around on social media of micro acts of feminism. It's for like how do you use micro acts of feminism in your daily life, and people are commenting on how they do it. And so like school teachers are like, when there's a problem with a kid, I call the dad first and make
I
him
love
deal with
that.
it. Or the doctor being like, when both parents come to an appointment, I ask the dad if he knows anything about what's going on with the kid before I ask the mom to see what he said. Like just
Oh
all
my
these
God,
little
the
like
mom must always go like, yes, let's see this
all
answer.
these little acts. So it's like, I think people think that, you know, that protesting and resistance is like showing up on the streets and protesting. And there's a time and a place for that, you know? They're
Yeah,
very much just, a time and place for that. But there's also daily things that you can do.
yeah.
And daily things you can do are literally being vocal.
Yeah, I mean it comes from you could put bumper stickers on your
Yeah.
car that just
Bumper
say
stick.
I'm an
Yeah.
ally.
Yep.
Rainbow stickers and I'm an ally. Like if you're not a queer
Going
person.
to a local pride event, even if you're not queer, going and
Supporting
supporting.
gay-owned businesses,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
queer businesses, BIPOC businesses. Like,
I literally this weekend I bought a bottle of wine and I was deciding between two different bottles of wine, and then I saw on the label of one of them that it said black owned, female owned winery, and I was like,
that's
hell yes, I'm getting that
ex
bottle.
exactly. See, that's a micro activism right there.
Exactly.
You're standing up for the small guy. So I think, and again, this is why we created the podcast so that we can share things that don't have to feel like big, like life-changing moments in
Yeah.
people's day. Like you can literally just text a good friend who you know is queer and just say, this whole thing sucks. And just so you know, I've got your back. Like you could just literally tell somebody
And if
and
you're a
wish them a
parent,
happy Pride this week. Like wish them a happy Pride month.
yeah. And if you're a parent, like teaching your kids about how
Pride history.
silly gender roles are,
Yeah, that's
teaching your
true.
kids inclusive language.
Yep.
My kids are 9 and 6 and they fully understand pronouns.
Yeah.
They fully understand pronouns.
Yeah,
And they
I'm proud of
have
my child too.
someone in
She
their
does.
life who is trans and they use that person's correct pronouns on a consistent basis. And I'm like, there are 30-year-old men who cannot do that and
That's
refuse to
right.
do that. And this week, my son
There's
at
70-year-old women
school,
who can't do that either.
yes, my son at school this week, he likes to wear these like little tight-fitting bike shorts because he's a skinny, tall kid. He doesn't
Yep.
like loose, baggy shorts. And he loves colors. And he was wearing this pair that was like tie dye and like pastel green, pink, and yellow, super cute. We did buy them in the girls section because he saw them and he wanted them, right? And another boy came up to him and he was like, "Those are girl pants. You must be a girl if you're gonna wear girl pants," and was just being a jerk to him about it. And
Yes.
my little guy, bless his heart, looked at this kid
Yep.
in the face and said, "Boys can wear whatever they want. At least I'm not a jerk and bullying other boys for what they like."
That's right. Like
Six. Like,
he could have said, "Well, those jeans look dumb on you," like or whatever. But he didn't. He's so good.
he's just naming it that
Hmm.
boys get to wear what boys want to wear, girl. And it's like
That's it.
though, like even
That's a
in like
micro
raising
activism
kids
right
is a
there.
micro
That's
activism. Raising children who vocalize and stand up and like use pronouns, understand that gender roles are stupid, like all of that is micro activism.
well, the cool thing is by Tobin saying that, honestly, it's like you don't know what little kid was listening to at that moment also. And going home, I mean, there might be one kid in that hole that heard that and he's going home and he's got his little stash of his special little clothes that he likes to wear, or she likes to wear. Like, the little tomboy who's listening to that and saying, "Yeah, I can wear a baseball cap if I feel like it. I can
Mhm,
borrow my brother's, t-shirt if I feel like it or whatever it is."
mhm.
It's like I think that's just really important. And I also think we were talking about, duality and holding joy and the pain together.
Mhm.
So intersectionality, like honoring that queer joy doesn't mean ignoring any injustices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's really important is acknowledging, joy as a survival mechanism, especially for QT BIPOC folks facing compounded marginalization.
Yeah. We're not shoving anything underneath the rug, you know?
Right, right. I think it's really important is just like how celebrating pride parades isn't about us just throwing leather boys and dykes on bikes out in the streets. And if that's all that someone thinks that it is, then they need to go read some history lessons on Stonewall
Yeah.
and Milk, watch the movie Milk and watch some historical, like I think Prime and Netflix, they all have a really beautiful space on these apps,
Hmm.
these streaming apps that you can look up gay history documentaries.
Yes. Yeah.
And if it's something important to you, and maybe you have, maybe one of our listeners has young kids under 10, right?
Hmm.
Maybe they're under 10 and, pick something that feels wholesome and maybe family appropriate, age appropriate. But it's really time to start digging in and having these conversations with your kids. If you
Yeah.
have never had the conversations before, I'm not saying, if you have a gay relative and, like for me, I remember when my cousin Valerie called me after our wedding, after Carrie and our first wedding. So this is
Hmm.
2006. And Valerie said, "Oh my God, the girls, oh, this is before they were coming. The girls are so excited. They've never seen two women get married before."
Mm.
And what's cool is one of my little cousins, who was one of those children, is totally gay, and she's in a fabulous relationship in Vermont, like New Hampshire, Vermont. And I'm really proud of her, like just living her authentic life. But I'm really proud of my cousin because she never shied away. They never shied like or kept me a secret. Like my whole family, I've been just so out since all the young cousins have been around and my
Yeah.
older cousins have just really like I give them so much credit. I give my whole family credit. Like
Mm.
that no one ever poo-pooed my choices in that sense. I mean, sure, if I was dating somebody that didn't feel aligned or so, oh, I'm glad you're not really dating her anymore. Like
Hmm.
just like if it
Yeah.
was a boy, if I brought home a
Right.
boy and they didn't like him, it's not, but they've never once questioned or thought it was a phase.
Mhm.
And
Which
I'm
is
really lucky
important.
for that.
So important because not everybody has that.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. I'm the majority of the friends I grew up in high school and stuff, like I was the one that taught the kids about queerness
Mm,
and like they always used me as the example, which I think is really sweet. But I'm okay with that because
you're
I,
okay
I,
with
li
it.
I live for
You
those
live
kids.
authentically. You're yourself. You're authentically yourself in that
I
way.
really am. Like I was telling my new coworkers because I came home from Dallas this week
Yeah.
and but when I on one of our last days I was like, "You guys, it's really cool being a queer woman." And they're like, "Okay, why?" And I was like, "When you're at a trade show, I can talk to the straight guys. The straight guys like want to have a beer with me. Like I become
Yeah.
their like their wingman, right? Straight women just think I'm cool. Like they just love the fact that I am authentically myself, whether they are have ever thought about being with women or not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But they just feel the fact that I'm not hitting on them or anything. They feel safe around me in that sense. Gay guys, of course, love being around me, like especially at trade shows when we see each other, we're like, "What up, queer?"
Hmm.
And then what's the last one? It could be oh, and other lesbians. Like it's all good. Like I can float in and out of all these different gender
Yeah.
roles
Yeah.
and never have any issues. I can talk to each of them and they'll feel safe. Like married straight men love hanging out with me because they're like,
Mm.
don't have to worry. Like if I'm in a picture, like their wife clearly will know that I am the gay one. You know what I mean? It's so funny. And you know what's really cute is seeing, and I'm gonna do it like a little nod to all the later in lifers. Like, I love when they show up with their rainbow watch wristbands, and like, because
Mm.
I don't need to wear. I purely am just gay walking around because of the way that I look and the way that I present. But it's such a beautiful reminder when these women come out of their 10 year to 20 some odd plus year heteronormative marriages and they get little rainbow tattoos or they do rainbow earrings or they get a new
Mhm.
piercing or they are wearing the rainbow bracelet or something rainbow and just to
Yeah.
because they're still so straight presenting, much like you look so straight. Like,
Yep.
but if we were walking around, they'd be like, okay, all right, I feel you
Yeah.
guys. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's really sweet when they find something that
Although all anybody would have to do is look at the carabiner hooked to my belt pants.
see, I don't even wear that. That's so
So
millennial.
when I saw that TikTok video, you know which one I'm talking about, where they're like talking about, things that identify you as queer.
Yep.
And then I like the very first one was having a carabiner hooked onto your belt loop. And I was like, looked down at my pants and I was like, yep.
I already drive the Subaru and
Yeah.
and I
The Green
love the
Cooper
sticker that
alongside.
Caden picked out a cute sticker for me and on the back of it and I've gotten looks on the road before because it says queer magic on the
Hmm.
sticker and I one time was in the fast lane and there was the carpool lane. We were going out towards the Renaissance Fair actually here in Arizona. And I had a guy in a big truck, super MAGA probably. And
Hmm.
he looked over at me, was like, he gave me stink eye because he read my bumper sticker. And I was just like, what up, dude? I flashed him a peace sign.
Oh man, there's living in Eastern Oregon. Yeah, those kind of dudes are everywhere with their trucks.
Oh yeah, with their
Everywhere.
with their big old hunting rifle on the back end.
Oh my gosh. Okay. But not to get too super political, but at school pickup the other day, like every day at school pickup, there's this one truck that pulls up and he has Trump's face on one of his windows. He has like three American flags. He has a Confederate flag, like
Oh
a
God.
Confederate flag. And then he has like Trump stickers all up and down his trucks. And my 9-year-old, bless her heart,
Oh my
other day,
God.
she's just fed up with it. We were standing out like close to his truck for school pickup, and she just said very loudly, she was like, imagine having all those stickers on your truck and just not really knowing what's up in life.
Yep.
I started going off about it very loudly. And I was just like,
I love that.
I love you. Not even gonna stop you. Not even gonna stop you.
Oh my God. I mean, it's nuts out there. Here in Arizona, um, you can always tell they're a special bunch when they have on their hitch the balls hanging from the
Oh
truck.
my God.
The
Seriously.
little the metal whatever
Yes.
ball. Yeah, but they look like, balls
Yeah,
or
that's the
whatever.
thing here too, of course. Like what is up with that?
I have seen them down in the Redmond area before. Down near Crater Lake, I saw a couple of those guys. And it's just a little nod to Dumbassville. Because I
Yeah.
just think it's stupid. And I mean, I just think it's so dumb. I don't have to be queer to think that's dumb. It's just dumb in general.
Yeah,
It's like,
100%.
really? It feels very
And you know
crude.
what's so ironic about that is like those guys who drive those trucks who put the balls in the truck. It's like, okay, you're genderizing your truck. You're
Oh
assigning
my
a gender
God.
to the truck.
Yes.
You're
That's
what's your truck's pronouns?
I think they're he, him at that point. But yeah, that's really
What happens if I misgender your truck?
oh my God. That is funny. I love that. But definitely with like the anti-LGBTQ stuff going on out there, I think celebrating joy is not frivolous, and celebrating queer community is celebrating the history that we have fought so hard for and the rights. I mean, we have fought to have the same justice, in marriage and having all the same rights. It was interesting because at this trade show again. I was around my new coworkers and meeting new people, but we were talking about how someone was saying like, "Oh, your daughter, did you give birth?" That always comes to conversation. So I don't have any problem sharing this a part of our story, right?
Yeah.
Nope, we used a donor. My ex-wife actually gave birth and blah, blah, blah. And I had to second parent adopt her. And they're like,
Hmm.
that's when I always get the look like,
Yeah.
really? You
Yeah.
have, it's amazing how many people really don't understand
Yeah.
what we have to go through. So, yes, Oregon was fantastic with parent one and parent two on the birth certificate. It doesn't say mom and dad. It doesn't say mother and father, which I was really, really happy with. But then so that just protected us while we were in the state of Oregon. For the
Yeah.
rest of the country and the rest of the world, which is also why many queer families hyphenate their names
Yeah.
because again it creates a solid unit, a visual verbal unit that they see that all of our names are the same.
Yeah.
As you know, that's a unique, like there's not any other flamer powers out
Right.
there. Like it's just us, right?
I don't think many people realize how much work goes into having a family as queer families. When I worked as a doula, I had a couple who came to Oregon, two guys. They came to Oregon from Europe because they wanted to have a family. And surrogacy is actually illegal in Europe or heavily regulated. It has to be altruistic. If it happens, you cannot be paid for your time as a surrogate. And so a lot of queer couples from Europe and Asian countries come to
Israel
actually Oregon.
and Israel.
Oregon is one of the biggest surrogacy states for queer couples. And so they came here, but then because also egg donorship is heavily regulated in Europe, so their egg donor came from another country. They had to go to that country, do that process.
Yep.
Then they had to take off time to come to Europe and do all of the paperwork to come to Europe to be here with their surrogate and be there for the birth of their baby and then be here for 3 months postpartum and then do all the paperwork and everything and then go back to Europe. And it's like they had the financial means to do that,
Yep.
luckily, but not everybody does. And
No,
that
it's
like,
it costs anywhere between 120 to $180,000.
yeah.
The thing is, just so you know, my ex-wife, she's in the surrogacy industry.
Hmm.
She started her own business. She was
Yeah.
also a surrogate for another lesbian
Hmm.
couple.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
and it's really, I mean, it was really cool to learn all about that. But yeah, most of the IPs they call them, the intended parents.
Yeah.
They were all from Israel, and they're like these
Mm,
beautiful men, and they want babies. I mean, it's not, we can't get each other pregnant as much as we
right.
try, right? Like we do. We have to go through a lot of stuff. So I think when people make blanket statements out of being completely ignorant and say queer parents are, are unhealthy, um, hello, do you know what we went through to become parents? Like we are the most intentional parents, other than other beautiful cis families and heteronormative families that are forced to go through fertility.
Yeah.
We already know the journey ahead when we are queer and want to also be parents.
Yeah, I can easily say that all of the queer parents that I know who have gone through that work to have children are the best parents that I know.
Yeah. I mean,
Far
it's
better
all,
parents than some of the parents I know who've naturally had children who are heterosexual.
I know. I mean, like, it's basically we go through a whole certification program going through
Yep.
this thing because
Yep.
we really want to be parents. Like,
Yep.
I'm like, Kaden, we really wanted you. Like,
Yes, you
you
were
were,
extremely
we,
wanted.
you were very, very wanted. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I love when we can be around other some of her friends have queer parents, and it's really cool because it's just like, what's up? We can support
Yeah.
one another, and we know what it takes to go through all that. So
Yeah.
happy Pride Month to everybody. If you're an ally, thank you for being an ally. Spread queer love this month.
Double down on your allyship right now. Like
Yes, double down
it
on
is
it.
needed. Like this month, go to the Pride events. Like
Yep.
go, like spread the word. Like be
Look,
double down,
look up
double
queer
down.
businesses, go spend a little money there, especially fun, queer coffee shops are all around. And then there
Fly
are,
a pride flag outside your house. Like I will tell you,
yes,
I have a pride flag outside my house, and several people have mentioned it to me. But one time I was sitting on my porch steps. I have a pride flag outside my house, and this kid that I say kid, but probably like early like tweenish
yeah.
age had walked past my house like every day for a while. And on this particular day, this kid stopped and said, "Hey, I like your pride flag. Thank you for having that because I'm a queer kid."
Oh,
And it was like just that in that moment, like you don't know, like even in your own neighborhood, you don't know
you don't
who
know who
could
you're
use that
supporting.
support. So
Yeah,
like fly a pride flag this month, like get it out
yeah,
there.
exactly. So I think, queer joy resistance, right? Like
Mhm.
just come from love, come with joy in your heart, and yeah, and let your queer friends, neighbors know that you are present you know, and that you're an ally. I think it's
Yeah.
just as important as an actual queer person, stepping outside and claiming who they are. They to me are not less or more. They are equal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Equal resistance.
Yeah, because it takes that relationship to create the safe spaces, to create the
Yes,
political votes, to create the change.
that's
It's not
right.
just the people in the community who need to make the change, it's the people who should be supporting that community.
Yeah, and if you have a queer kid who is maybe struggling and maybe you don't personally have any queer friends, please reach out to me. Please. Like
Mhm.
just reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to talk to your child. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call if they just want to understand and learn. And, if I can give you guys some great tools and some great resources to point you in that direction, I am more than happy to. So,
Love it.
yeah. Love you, friend.
Love
Thank
you
you.
too.
Talk to you soon. I liked this conversation. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode today, be sure to subscribe and share because what do we say, baby?
Sharing is caring.